That's really what I've always thought is a true niche for a small sawmill operation like ours is
they want to look at a superior board or a high-end board. Ooh, that looks pretty. Not, hey, where's the good stuff at?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of Sawing with Robert Milton here at Hobby Hardwood, and today we will not be sawing, so don't turn the channel. We're going to be talking about one of our most useful tools that we have here to make really high-grade hardwood, and that is a straight line ripsaw, or an SLR for short. Basically what it does, it's got a saw blade and a caterpillar track, they call it a chain, but it looks more like caterpillar treads on a bulldozer, and it grabs a board and it cuts a perfectly straight line whether you need to use a fence or not. So unlike a table saw where you have to cut a straight line by putting the other side of the board against the fence and you're going to cut two parallel lines, you can put the board in at any angle. You can use it to dodge knots or wane, which is the bark on the edges of the boards, or any other defects, and you can basically cut diagonal. You can cut anywhere you want to, and it will cut a straight line on that pass. Of course, then you may have an odd shaped board, so then you move this back and forth. It's more like a stop, and then you refeed it, and then you'll get a perfectly parallel, very flat sided or flat edged board. Really cool. These are typically used in the industry, much more so than, say, a jointer or a facer or, of course, a table saw. When we first bought it, we weren't sure we would actually use it because, I mean, seriously, we're a sawmill. We're not a cabinet shop. So we bought a good one. I think we paid 25-ish thousand for this one. Expensive, but not overly expensive when you think about commercial woodworking equipment. And we love it. We use it every day, and next to our planer and a sawmill and our kilns, this is probably one of the most valuable tools that we have in our shop. Basically, if it died tomorrow, I'd have another one ordered the next day. They're that useful. So one of the biggest reasons we have to use it, and one of my biggest pet peeves in the lumber industry, and you've heard me talk about this before, is the grading methodology of the National Hardwood Lumber Association. Basically, the NHLA regulates or provides guidelines for every commercial sawmill out in the world, and they have different grades of wood. I mean, you've probably heard of them, number 1 common, FAS, number 2 common, that kind of a thing. And each one of those grades allows a certain amount of defects in the boards. Well, the boards I'm cleaning up today was some boards that we bought. It's alder, A-L-D-E-R. It does not grow in Alabama, but we do sell a good bit of it. And I have to get it trucked in, and I ordered Superior, and it meets the grade standards of Superior, but it doesn't meet the everyday conception of Superior wood. It looks like crap. So typically a Superior grade in alder, and there's all kinds of grading rules. I'm not going to bore you with them. It's typically the board has to be 83 1/3% usable over a certain length and width, and it allows a certain amount of wane, and the wane is where the bark used to be. Basically, the NHLA provides guidelines that allows a lumber producer to sell wood that may be graded Superior, but when you look at it, you go, man, that ain't no good. So part of our business is to sell extremely high-grade hardwood, 0 knot, 0 defect. So what we have to do is when we buy wood from commercial sources, even though it's basically the highest grade we can get, we still have to clean it up. And this is the machine that we use. That was about 10 years ago. I cannot tell you how many board feet have been through this thing. The blade count is way high. I mean, we replace blades on it. They do. I mean, this thing sees a lot of use. Still keeps on trucking. So what are you going to say? When it dies, we'll get another one, or we may go out of business by then because this one's not showing any signs of dying. The biggest issue with a joiner is you can only clean up one edge. So you get one edge perfectly straight, you still may end up with a trapezoid. Somehow you still got to get the other side of the board parallel to this edge, or you got to sell it to the woodworker like that. So when you look at this guy, you straighten up one of the boards edge and you put the other edge against this and you cut a straight line. And as a matter of fact, here are a few of the edgings that we did today. You can see how this board has been cleaned up. I mean, there would be no way to run this on a table saw. Here's a little sliver. You can see how it's thin and thick on one side. That's us cleaning the edges up. Here's a board. Here's a piece right here. Look at all the wane on this. So we trim it off, take that off. This wane is allowed under the NHLA guidelines. Of course, who wants to buy a board with a bunch of bark on it and then have somebody call it superior or top grade? So what do? We trim it off. We can even edge. You can see all these little edgings. We can even edge down to this level. This was the sawmill cut. You can see the teeth marks there maybe. And then that's what it looks like when it's run through the straight line. Pretty cool. Most commercially bought wood is going to have about a 10 to 15% defect. It's called an edge drop. And it's not cheating. They're just pushing the rules to the limit. I mean, look at this board right here. Here's one. You can see the S right here. Does that look superior in the conventional sense of the word? Look at this one. So what happens is you buy boards that are this wide. By the time you get trimming them, they're that wide. I mean, here's one with a big S on it, superior. Let's flip it over. Does that look superior? Of course not. And as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the little dirty secrets of the commercial lumber industry. They can sell wood that meets a certain grade, and you got to remember, now this isn't, I'm not bashing sawmills. This is the way it's done. I've talked about this before, and I get all these emails from sawmills and lumber producers. Hey, you know, we're following the rules. This is the way it's been done for decades, blah, 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 blah. And you all will say, I don't care. If you're gonna sell a superior product, it needs to be a superior product. I mean, what would I consider superior? 95% better clear, not 83, which is the grade standard for aspen. That's aspen in hardwood. 83% usable. So as a home sawmiller, which I know a lot of you guys are, I know a lot of you are trying to start your own business, you're a lot of folks doing business, don't try to be just as good as the commercial operation. Do better than the industry. I mean, our whole business, we sell people all over the country. They drive from all over the country because we don't ship, because of our high-grade lumber. Now, if we offered the same stuff with an S as superior as everybody else, why would anybody come out here to nowhere, out in the middle of nowhere, to buy wood from us? Simple, they can't get it anywhere else. Or they can get it some places. I know there's some really good mills out there, so I'm not dogging you guys. You guys are doing it right. Most people buying retail wood, they don't want you to explain to them how that's a top grade board. They want to look at a superior board or a high-end board. Ooh, that looks pretty. Not, hey, where's the good stuff at? As a new business or as a sawmill business, you're trying to separate yourself from the competition. Put out some better lumber. So anyway, this is to encourage you to do better. Let's get over here and talk about this straight line. because I got a few boards I got to trim up real quick. Chip is giving me a hard time. I need to hurry up. This is what this guy looks like. It's got a dust collector. Let's open it up. Very simple machine. I have to put this, Here's what it looks like inside. You can see the saw blade riding on the track. The board comes in, these pressure rollers press it down, the saw blade cuts all the way through it. There's actually a groove in the track for it to cut through, so it cuts cleanly through the board. And since both sides of the board are grabbed, this is half the track, the other half of the track's on the other side. Since the board is held down by pressure rollers on both sides, there's rollers here, here, and here, then you always get a straight line because the board is grabbed by the track. It can't move with these little cleats, and then the saw blade cuts it. Here's a top view. I think you can probably see the track on both sides. Cool thing about these are using standard 12-inch ripping table saw blades. So you don't need to buy specialty blades or nothing. You just need good heavy duty, I prefer carbide ripping blades, 12-inch, 1/8-inch plate, maybe a little thicker. And up here you have a hand wheel. This adjusts the pressure of the rollers in the head. So this is set up to do 15/16 inch, and that sets this 23.8 millimeters, and that sets the pressure rollers to the exact height so that when it pushes down on the track, they don't slip, but they don't indent. Basic switch setup. Cool thing is it does have a laser. We're fixing to turn it on. That shoots the line way out here. Basically, I take the edge with the wane on it, I line it up with the laser where I want to cut. It doesn't have to be straight, it can be at a diagonal, it can be wherever I can get the most yield. I run it through, it comes out the other side. I bring it back, set the fence and run it, and I got a perfectly edged board. All the waste that I paid for, the edge drop, goes in the bin. So anyway, let's run this. You'll quickly get the hang of it. Love the machine. And you'll see what a great job it does. So we got to start turning stuff on. I'm going to try to get you some good views of it. Let's see here. This is a 3-phase motor, 220. So it's not a real big motor. I think it's a 15 or 20. It's a 15. We turn on a phase converter. Now you can see the lasers on. I may actually shut that door so you can see it a little better. Get a little darker in here. I don't really like working in the dark, but I seem to do that all the time. Turn on the dust collector. This saw has a soft start, so we start the saw blade, and then we'll hit the feed. I hope you can pick the laser up, and we'll try to get it on the board here. What we do is we shine the laser down the board, trying to catch all the defects. So I get it right here, it's gonna cut there, it's gonna cut this straight line. I'm gonna miss all this, gonna miss all this, and then I've got it kind of angled where it ends up right here, and I wanna miss that defect. So it's not being fed in straight. You can see where it's at kind of an angle, I hope. So from here you can see where the line catches the edge of the defect. The board has some curve to it. It cuts the curve off. I'm bringing it right here, and then we're going to keep going until I miss this defect right here. And it's going to result in a tapered board, but then we will simply cut this side to the same width. We'll have a perfectly flat board. Let's see if this will work. Feed it in. Right here, it's got it. I can let go. And that's it. So you can see on that cut,
where I got right to there. I got right to there. And I have pretty much cut all the defects out of that board, out of this edge. This then goes into the bin. You measure the board, wider up here. Good news is it's so dark in here I can't actually read the scale. We're going to rerun that board and get the other side. We're going to run the straight edge against the stop or the fence. We're going to edge out this knot, and it should come out right on this edge. Cut, you can see the laser right there. Comes out here. Another edge piece that somebody can use if they want it. And the results now are a true superior board. 0 knot with a big S on it, where it really is a superior. That's a nice board. That's a Hobby Hardwood board. This is what we sell, and I would encourage you to try to get to where you're selling this. There's a lot of money in it. We're going to put this over here on the cart. We're going to get another one. And now this little guy, it's already been edged on one side. We're going to set it up. We're going to set it up here, and we're going to measure it. I'm going to flip it up so maybe you can see it. Got one straight edge. Look at all this. This needs to come off. Let's look at how straight these guys are. You can see the joint. It's not perfect, but it's getting pretty close. There's no defects on this side. We've got that knot right there. That one's right at about 9 inches. This edge right here is at 9 inches. So again, in the case of this, I can set the fence to 9 inches and we'll get a perfect cut. Now, some of you guys may be wondering why I'm not having to edge both sides, because one thing I do when I pay for this kind of lumber, see, look where the line goes. I try to get one edge already, one side already edged, but this is where a straight line comes in. Look, I'm gonna miss that knot and come down here and it's gonna be right there. And right there, you can see where I got just the perfect amount. I clipped that just like I wanted to. This is the acceptable edge drop by the industry. This is what I would consider a high-grade board. Oh, this is nasty. This guy has issues on both sides, both edges, there and there. So the first thing we're going to try to do is we're going to freehand and cut those guys off. So I'm going to align the laser best I can to just barely clip those guys, both of them, right there. I'm going to feed it in. Remember, I'm not using the fence on this side. I'm using the laser. That's what it looks like. And we'll measure right here to that defect. That's right at 3.5. We'll set that to 3.5 and we'll cut it. All right, let's keep going. I'm just gonna set y'all right here for right now, because I gotta hurry up and get through some of this. That's coming off. Oh, this has got a big old gouge in it. This is allowed under NHLA rules. Garbage. It's about 4 3/8 out of a 5-inch board. That's really what I've always thought is a true niche for a small sawmill operation like ours, is do better than everybody else and people will find your business. Don't race to the bottom, you race to the top. It is very doable because we do it, and if we can do it, you can do it.
I don't want to give the lumber industry a hard, yeah I do. Basically, it's the lumber grader's job at the sawmill to make the sawmill money by pushing the grade. This is what I expect to buy though, as a lumber consumer. High grade, superior wood. We will see y'all next week. Thanks for visiting our sawmill. Click on the links above to see more of our videos. Thanks for visiting our sawmill. Click on the links above to see more of our videos.